After the Nats finale this Sunday, walk on over to Walters to catch the second half of Jaden Daniels and the Commanders in Arizona.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Here's the pitch. Swing a chopping ground ball towards short, slowly hit. Nunez has it, juggles, throws low. Yepes picks it. No, he doesn't. It's off his glove, rolling into foul ground, and Isbell will score. Witt safe at first, 1-0 Kansas City. Nunez had trouble getting out of his glove and then bounced the throw. Yepes couldn't handle it off his glove. And with the ball squirting away on an error, the Royals break the scoreless tie here in the top of the 10th. 3 balls, 2 strikes. We'll do it again. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, struck him out, the game is over. Blew him away with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball, and the Royals end their 7-game losing streak and get a huge win. They move into a tie for the second wild card spot with the Tigers as they outlast the Nationals in a pitcher's duel 1-0 in 10 innings.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Wednesday, September 25th. 2024, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. So, as we know, the Nats' biggest problem this season has been offense, and you could argue that Tuesday night marked a new low point in terms of offense for the Nats this season. A 1-0 10-inning loss to the Kansas City Royals at Nationals Park in Game 1 of a 3-game series. This was a game for which the start was delayed for 40 minutes due to rain. The Nats for this regular season now 69-88, down to 19 games below 500, most games below 500 that the Nats have been in this regular season, in which the Nats now are just 5-12 in extra inning games. Nats now have dropped 7 of their last 8 games, must go at least 3-2 over the team's final 5 games in order to surpass last regular season's record of 71-91. This was a rough one. The Nats did get a good performance from starting pitcher Mitchell Parker. That was good. The Nats bullpen was good in this game, but no runs, just 5 hits, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And Mark, this is becoming a disturbing trend here. A good number of shutout losses for the Nats in recent days.
Well, 17 overall for the season, and now 6 of their last 8 games have either been shut out or held to 1 run, and it just feels like we're repeating the same things. It's the same issues. It's a lack of execution when you have an opportunity to get a runner in. And, you mentioned the extra inning record. This has been a broken record, too, for the last several years. Feels like they get into that spot, and they do not execute, whether it's on the offensive side, not being able to put together quality at bats or even put the bat on the ball to get a guy, the automatic runner, home from second. And on the flip side, whether it's the pitcher or whether it's the defense, they're not executing in a way that strands the inherited runner to get in. And so you get so many of these kind of losses. And look, they had plenty of opportunities prior to the 10th inning, of course, where they could have just scored 1 run that would have been moot. But it does feel like once they get to that extra inning, you almost can guarantee how it's going to end up, because this is who they've been, not just this year, but for several years now.
Specific to what's happening with the Nats right now in terms of how the season is ending, it's not ending in a good way. It's ending in a pretty feeble way. And the C.J. Abrams news of this past Saturday only heightens all of that. But the Nats are losing a lot. They're not losing in what you would call like respectable, enticing ways. Like, this is not a team that's losing, via battling hard, and your competitive game in, game out. I mean, this game on Tuesday night was competitive, but that was because neither team could hit. It wasn't necessarily because the Nats played a great brand of baseball. If someone asked you, why are the Nats going out like this? Is this just, hey, they traded players, it's a long season, the team is just fading? Is there something a little more disturbing happening here? Because, a young up-and-coming team, you'd like to see end a season, even a non-playoff rebuilding season, in a much better way than this Nats season is ending.
Yeah, and the irony there is, I think you remember, I opened the year saying I believed they were going to be better at the end than they were at the beginning, because I thought the young guys were going to make this a more exciting team hopefully a better offensive team. And that has not necessarily been the case. I think it's a combination of those things that you just outlined. It's late in the year. Guys are worn down. They see the finish line. It's kind of only natural to have a little more trouble getting up for some of these. So I think there's that. I think there's also, much less talent in this lineup on a daily basis right now, and certainly less experienced talent. Whatever you think about the move to send C.J. Abrams down, it made them a worse team for this final week. Nasim Nunez is not C.J. Abrams. And I know he wasn't having a great second half, but he still provided a threat that Nasim Nunez just doesn't at the plate. So there's that. The trades of Lane Thomas and Jesse Winker definitely catching up to them in a lot of ways. And then really, I think this is probably the most disappointing part of it. Not necessarily a terrible sign for the future, but at least right now, it's making it tough, is that Dylan Cruz, especially, and James Wood to a lesser extent, are just not really doing a lot to get excited about. And at a time when you kind of need them to lead the way offensively, they're really not doing it. And so what are you left with? We know who the rest of the hitters are in this lineup. And as it's currently constructed, it's just not all that productive. And so you get these games where they just kind of look lifeless at the plate. I think it's a combination of all those things, plus some good pitching on the other side. But it is tough because you wanted to believe that at the end of the year, you were going to see a better brand of baseball from them. And it really hasn't been that way.
It hasn't. And, a comp that has been made is that maybe this season could be like that 2011 season that led right into the breakout season of 2012. Well, the Nats in 2011 ended that season in a very strong way, a very compelling way. The Nats were really good down the stretch of September, had a 4-game sweep at the Philadelphia Phillies that season. And you felt like, okay, there's something to believe in here. Doesn't mean that there isn't anything to believe in right now, but yeah, it gets harder to believe when you see what you're seeing here these last few weeks. It's been a rough go of it. So with this Nats offense in this game, no runs, 5 hits, which were a double and 4 singles, 3 walks, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Mark mentioned the magic number 17. 17 of the Nats' 88 losses now have been shutout losses. And you brought up Dylan Cruz. We've been hitting on this here lately. I don't know how you don't keep mentioning this here just because this matters so much. Cruz on Tuesday night, Nats starting right fielder, number 1 batter, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. The OPS since being promoted to the majors down to 576. This is getting rough. For a while you say, okay, he's not going to be great every game. This has been a pretty bad run here to where his numbers since being promoted have really plummeted over these last few weeks.
Yeah, and the strikeouts are kind of getting noticeable, how many of those there have been. I mean, there's not even a lot of really quality at-bats from him. He led off the game in the bottom of the first in a way that you kind of grown accustomed to C.J. Abrams doing. He swung at the first pitch and he popped up on the first pitch, not showing a whole lot of patience there. He did get some fastballs in this game, as opposed to recently when we've talked about how much he's just chasing breaking balls and not even getting a chance to hit a fastball. He actually got some in this game and he didn't do anything with it. So that's a little bit concerning as well. Again, I don't have any serious questions about him down the road. I don't believe the Nationals do either. It's the end of a long, full professional season that he's never experienced before. He's facing big league pitchers. He had very minimal time in the minor leagues. And as much as you want to believe that everybody can just step right in and be great at this, it's not as simple as that. And it doesn't mean that because he's struggling now that he's not going to become the hitter that everybody expects him to be. But it has been a tough watch here down the stretch. And there are things for him to work on. It's proof that he's not a perfect prospect. He's still really highly touted. He still has all the ability in the world, but there are still steps for him to take to learn how to be a better big league hitter. And you hope, if nothing else, that he's learning something from this, going to go into the offseason to work on some things and come back next year really hungry to take off and show everybody the player that he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and for all of those weeks, we were wondering why isn't he being promoted to the majors, or the Nats maybe making a mistake in not promoting him to the majors. I think it's hard to mount that horse at this point. He was doing well for a while. I mean, it's not like he's been bad ever since he got promoted, but things have not gone well, like I said, these last few weeks. James Wood on Tuesday night, Nats starting left fielder, number 2 batter, 1 for 3, single and a walk. He per StatCast had the Nats' top 2 exit velocities of the game, but this was not much happening with the Nats offensively in this game. Wood, bottom of the first, a 1-out 8-pitch walk, bottom of the 8th, a 1-out infield single on a grounder to the right side of the infield. And, the Nats with their 5 hits, like these were not overly impressive hits, infield singles. The Nats' lone extra base hit in this game was a double by Jacob Young, but this was not some, overly impressive double. Bottom of the 7th, a one-out double on a fly ball to no man's land in center field, despite having been down at 1.12. The double per StatCast exit velocity of 71.9 miles per hour. So just a really weak offensive game. The Royals were not much better, and we'll get to the Nats pitching, which was good. I did want to ask you, though, about Jacob Young. He had a really good month of August. He has cooled off here in recent weeks. Has continued to play basically every day, but his offensive numbers have come back down to earth a bit.
Yeah, probably worn down somewhat as well from playing as much as he has. And look, while the defense has been absolutely outstanding and he might win a Gold Glove out there, I think we have to acknowledge that there's still this question of him as a big league hitter. And while he puts some of those questions to rest with the strong August, it's still not enough of a sample to say, yes, we're convinced this guy is going to hit big league pitching in the long run. You want to believe he can do just enough for them to merit being in the lineup every day because of his glove and just ability to do enough at the plate and steal bases, all that. But he is far from proven that at this point. And I do think they have to be careful not to just pencil in an outfield next year of Wood, Young, and Cruz and assume that that's going to be it for 162 games. I think the guys in the corners, we know what they're supposed to be. The guy in center field still has to prove that he can be a semi-productive big league hitter. They've had a lot of center fielders here over the years who you said, great in the field. Can he just hit enough to stick? And in most of those cases, they did not ultimately hit enough to stick. He's got a chance to do it, but he's not there yet, certainly, and has a lot left to prove.
Yeah, and one of those center fielders, Michael A. Taylor, got DFA'd by the Pittsburgh Pirates here on Tuesday. Hey, Al Galdi here to tell you about the latest great offer from Window Nation for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. We are into September. Colder weather is coming. Now is a great time to replace your old inefficient windows with energy-efficient windows from Window Nation. Get a free, no-obligation quote now. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. Window Nation is the best. Window Nation can install your new windows in a day or less, and Window Nation's windows come with a lifetime warranty. With proven quality and service, it's no wonder that thousands of homeowners have trusted Window Nation for years. And take advantage of the great offer for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
For those interested in learning a new language, whether it be Spanish, French, or something else, check out Babbel. Babbel's 10-minute lessons are quick and handcrafted by over 200 language experts, ready to get you talking about your new language in just 3 weeks, because talking is the key to really knowing any language. Designed by real people for having real conversations, Babbel gets you talking. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee, so no pressure. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners right now. Get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for Nats Chat listeners at babbel.com/natschat. Get up to 60% off babbel.com/natschat. Spelled BABBEL.com/natschat. Rules and restrictions may apply.
It'll be a 3-2. It's on the way. Swinging a fly ball golf to right, deep toward the corner, sending Garrett to the warning track. He leaps at the wall. Can't get it. The ball is gone. Garrett slams into the fence, and he's down. Home run for LeMahieu makes it 7-0, but now the concern is for Garrett, who is rolling over in agony after slamming into the fence trying to rob LeMahieu.
We did have some Nats position player news on Tuesday. Stone Garrett is back at the major league level. The Nats on Tuesday afternoon announced having recalled Garrett from AAA Rochester. This is the corresponding roster move to putting infielder Andres Chaparro on the paternity list. So Stone Garrett, who famously suffered that gruesome fractured left fibula and also suffered a left ankle injury more than a year ago, August 23rd, 2023. This happened in a 9-1 loss at the New York Yankees. Bottom of the seventh of that game, Garrett was attempting to make a leaping catch of what ended up being a home run by DJ LeMahieu to right field. Garrett crashed into the wall, landed on the warning track, was rolling in pain, ended up limping to a cart with his left leg in an air cast as opposed to being stretchered onto the cart. This was really like a heartbreaking scene. He was crying. He was putting a towel over his face as he was removed from the field. So, it's really one of the more unforgettable images in terms of a Nationals injury in recent seasons. He spent the entirety of this season at Rochester. I know going into the season, there was a feeling of at some point he would be brought to the majors. Doesn't happen until now. I take it this is kind of a reward for him kind of sticking it out. He struggled at Rochester, was better as the season went on. We did not see him on Tuesday night, but presumably we'll see him at some point here before the season's done.
Yeah, hopefully, although it may only be here for a couple of days because the paternity leave only lasts 3 days. Then I figured, okay, well, Chaparro's probably heading home, for the winter, but he told them he wants to come back after the 3 days and get a chance to finish up. We'll see, hopefully everything goes smoothly with the birth and there's no issues there and he does return. But as far as Stone Garrett's concerned, I think we tended to downplay the severity of this injury and just assumed he was going to come back in the spring and that everything was going to be fine. And it really was more complicated than that. We knew that there was an ankle injury to this as well, not just a broken leg. He finally gave a little more detail on that when we talked to him before the game here. He admitted that it was a torn ligament in his ankle. And he said he had what's called tightrope surgery, which is a fairly complex procedure that I guess several NFL players have had to essentially put the ankle back together again. And it's not uncommon for it to take a whole year to come back from something like that. And so he admitted that he tried to rush it back and wanted to be ready for opening day. He doesn't blame anyone with the team for pushing him back. He did it himself. But, there were some telling quotes from him. He said, there was a point when I came back where I wasn't thinking about competing. I was just surviving. That's when I knew I probably rushed it back too soon. So I think he's acknowledging that he pushed it a little faster than maybe he should have. You saw Rochester in the first half of the season really manage his workload. He barely played on back-to-back days. Now, it got better. Second half of the year, since July, he hit .302. Never really started to hit for power. Again, only hit 3 home runs. But he seems to feel like he just needed to get through this year, prove that he could play again, and that maybe by next year he's back to the old hitter that he was. Now, has time passed him by and there's not going to be a spot for him with the Nationals in the long run? That may be the case. We know how they're set up outfield-wise. So this may be his one and only shot to play for them in the big leagues this year, and he may be off, whether to another team or stuck at AAA again next year. But you could tell what it meant to him just to get this opportunity, come back to the big leagues. It's been a long road, a long 13 months. Obviously a devastating injury, a career-altering injury. And just the fact that he did get through the season at Rochester and gets the chance to come back here and be in the big leagues, good for him. And you could tell that it does mean something to him.
So the fact that he got brought back and Alex Call was not activated, do we take that as a sign that Call is done for the season, or do you think that we still might see Alex Call?
Yeah, I think it's too late for that to happen. They were talking about maybe sending him off to play in some games, but he's still here with them. So yeah, I don't see that happening. And it's too bad for him because he did play really well before that injury happened. But I would imagine, they don't need to see more of Alex Call. I think they know what they have there. Maybe they see something in Stone Garrett here to have a better sense. But these are two guys who were given some opportunities to play, especially last year. And between injuries and other guys emerging on the scene, they've kind of been lost in the shuffle. And I don't know if either of them really fits into the long-term picture anymore.
If you are a fan of Vampire Weekend, then Game Time is your spot. They are performing at the Anthem on September 30th and October 1st, just after the Nats season wraps up. Game Time is proud of their ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They also offer a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code NATSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code NATSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
What's up, everybody? It's Heisman Trophy winner Matt Leinart. I've got a podcast called Throwbacks with actor Jerry Ferrara, where we'll be talking all things sports, but also so much more. We'll give you the behind-the-scenes stories from my days as the quarterback on an iconic college football team to Jerry's days as a star on an iconic TV series. So subscribe to Throwbacks wherever you download your podcasts and follow us on all social media at Throwback Show.
Hi Nats fans, this is Tim Newmark, DC area composer, longtime Nationals fan, and proud composer of the Nats Chat podcast theme song. If you're enjoying the music and would like to hear more, check out timnewmark.com/streaming or just search for Tim Newmark wherever you listen to music. To find the rest of the song you're hearing now, search for the title Double in the Sun. Go Nats!
Hey, Nats Chat, want to tell you about Mint Mobile's premium wireless package starting at $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/natschat. That's mintmobile.com/natschat. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/natschat. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigs on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Knees bent, leaning on the back leg. Stands straight away, and Parker delivers. Swinging a shot. Back to Parker. He caught it. He jogs toward first, and he underhands it to Yepes for the out, and the inning is over. And a big smile on the face of Mitchell Parker, and a bullet back behind him, Dave. He reached behind his other leg. That was a behind-the-back catch. Unbelievable.
Well, the Nats offense in this 1-0 10-inning loss to the Royals on Tuesday night was not good, but the Nats pitching in this game was really good. Mitchell Parker was the Nats starting pitcher for this game because the Nats are ending their season with a 6-man rotation. This was Mitchell Parker's final outing of the season, at least his final start of the season, and he did well. 5 scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts, gave up 5 hits, all of which were singles, issued 2 walks, did put guys on base, did throw a good number of pitches, 5 innings, 91 pitches, 59 strikes, 32 balls, but the run prevention was there. And the defense was there. Mitchell Parker in this game made an impressive defensive play. I don't know that he necessarily meant to make the play, but he made the play, so let's give him some credit. He tossed a scoreless top of the first, despite a fielding error by third baseman Trey Lipscomb, and then 2 singles. But Parker ended that top of the first by making a behind-the-back catch of a grounder off the bat of Freddie Fermin for a 2-out ground out, a quality defensive play by a guy in Mitchell Parker who, as we have discussed, has not had a very good defensive season, and that's putting things kindly. So Mitchell Parker this season, age 24 season, ends up being at the major league level for the bulk of the season. He was promoted to the majors in mid-April. 29 starts, 151 innings, ERA of 4.29, whip of 130, lasted for at least 6 innings in 13 of the 29 starts. All things considered, especially when you consider this guy was taken in the 5th round of the 2020 MLB draft, I think Mitchell Parker has a lot to feel good about.
Absolutely. And think about what you knew about him or what he was maybe supposed to be back when the season began. He was a guy who was added to the 40-man roster over the winter. He came to spring training, first time in big league camp, and looked fine there. And a guy that you figured, oh, we'll probably see him at some point later on in the season when they have a need in the rotation, and he may make some spot starts here and there, or maybe he'll get a chance to stick around for a little while. Well, think about this. Only 2 weeks into the season, he gets called up because of the Josiah Gray injury. Makes his Major League debut April 15th at Dodger Stadium and does really well there. Becomes the first Nationals rookie starter to win his Major League debut since Steven Strasburg in 2010. Now, the road from that to this, there were some bumps in there. It was not a perfectly smooth ride, but to end up with those kind of numbers, and above all else, to make 29 big league starts, get over 150 big league innings with an ERA in the low fours, there's a lot to be proud of there, both for him and for the organization. We've talked so much about their inability for the last, decade to develop their own players, especially pitchers. And here's a fifth-round pick who did all that for them, who at minimum looks like he can be a fifth starter for them moving forward. And maybe there's another step forward that he can take to be even more than that. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of what Jake Irvin did last year. Similar trajectory, similar numbers at the end of the season. Maybe Irvin has a higher ceiling. But I don't know that a year ago we thought of Jake Irvin as a potential number 2 starter in the big leagues, which is what he looks like now. Maybe a year from now we're talking about Mitchell Parker in those terms. My hunch is maybe not, but more power to him if he can become that guy and take what he learned from this year and get better from it.
The ability to last deep into games really stood out. The consistency, I know he didn't demonstrate that necessarily late in the season, but for a good chunk of this season, he was arguably the Nats' most consistent starting pitcher. And no doubt, I think the organization has a lot to feel good about. And, I give the organization credit for this, too. A goal, clearly, these last few weeks was to get these young pitchers through to the end of the season. And the Nats are doing that. Mitchell Parker has completed his season. Jake Irvin looks like going to do that. DJ Herr's going to do that. Mackenzie Gore going to do that. Like, the Nats have handled these guys in a very good way. And you don't take that for granted with the epidemic of pitcher injuries in baseball right now. Did he mean to make that defensive play, or was that completely by accident? What is the truth about what was, again, a behind-the-back catch of a grounder, an impressive defensive feat for Mitchell Parker?
I asked him when the last time he made a play like that was, and he laughed and he said high school. So that said to me that he was trying to do it. I don't know that he thought he was going to do it. I said, then what do you think when the ball was in your glove? He said, uh-oh, now I got to throw it to first. So, he knew the situation. He knows how hard it's been for him. The fact that he, of all guys, would make that play is so remarkable, given what else we've seen from him in the field this year. But good for him for having a little self-deprecating sense of humor there. So good on him for that. And, the other thing, what you were just saying about getting these guys all the way through the season healthy, it is a huge thing. And it wasn't just this year. The last 2 years, they've used a minimal number of starting pitchers, like 9 per year, which is a huge thing and very difficult to do. And yeah, they had the Josiah Gray injury and Trevor Williams got hurt and Cade Cavalli never made it back. But find me other teams that have been able to develop young pitchers and get them through the whole season. And they didn't baby them a lot. Yeah, they kind of watched their innings there. Maybe they only went 5 innings and didn't top 90 pitches a whole lot. But boy, that is a stated goal that they've had. And for 2 years now, they have done something right to keep these guys out there every 5th day, and there's something to be said for that, and they deserve praise for that.
Nats bullpen was impressive in this game, too. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run, which was unearned in 5 innings. Derek Law, 2 scoreless innings with 3 swinging strikeouts. Jose Ferrer, terrific. 2 perfect innings with 2 swinging strikeouts. The winning run came off Kyle Finnegan in the top of the 10th, but that run was scored on an infield single and then a throwing error by Nasim Nunez. Finnegan allowed the unearned run, gave up a 1-out infield single by Bobby Witt Jr. on a grounder to shortstop Nasim Nunez, who then committed a throwing error to score the run, and that was the game's only run. Look, you get Bobby Witt to deliver a grounder to your shortstop. That's a win. And, shame on Nunez for the error. I suppose you could say Juan Yepes maybe could have caught that. But look, the Nats pitching in this game, there's no complaining that's warranted here. The pitching did its job.
Yeah, and Finnegan, I don't put any of this loss on him at all. As you said, you got maybe the MVP of the American League to hit a ground ball to short. And as far as that play goes, Nunez charged in. He knew Witt's fast, so he was trying to rush it. He kind of double clutched a little bit. The throw was low, so that's why the error is on him. I will say that while it's maybe a lot to ask for Yepes to make the catch and get the out, at minimum, you got to keep the ball in front of you. It got past him. It was an awkward attempt at the scoop. And we've seen this from him more than a few times since he's been up here. That's what let the runner go in. It's one thing that Witt was safe. It's that the ball got away from Yepez, and that allowed the runner to come all the way to score from second. And if not for that, he probably doesn't score at all. And who knows when somebody finally does score a run in this game. So I think it's another reminder of the importance of defense at first base. Yes, you need a guy who can hit. Joey Gallo's not going to get it done for them if they were to bring him back next year, and they don't intend to do that. You need somebody who can hit, but you also need somebody who can make those kind of plays, especially with a young infield like they have.
And the Nats 2 errors in this game by 2 infielders who are known for defense, Trey Lipscomb and Nasim Nunez. Also on Tuesday was the Nats announcing their 2024 minor league award winners. Dylan Cruz, hitter of the year. Travis Sikora, pitcher of the year. Darren Baker, base runner of the year. And maybe the most interesting / surprising / notable award, Elijah Green got defensive player of the year. And I say it like that just because I wonder how many people knew that Elijah Green was having a good defensive season or was worthy of an award like this. Now, look, these are organizational awards. You can't take them that seriously, but they do matter. And Elijah Green, whose offense has been a big-time topic with him having struggled with strikeouts, etc., he, per the Nats press release announcing these awards, led the national system, ranked 9th among minor league center fielders with a career-high 8 assists in 2024, posted a .964 fielding percentage after appearing in a career-high 100 games in center field this season for Single-A Fredericksburg. And total, Green played 858 into third innings in center field, third most among all Single-A outfielders from July 19th to September 5th. He cleanly fielded 77 consecutive chances in center and recorded 72 putouts. Was this just the Nats trying to find someone to receive Defensive Player of the Year? Or do the Nats, in fact, have someone who's very good defensively in a key outfield spot in Elijah Green?
He is a very good defensive outfielder. So let's give him credit for that. And I don't think this was necessarily a phony award in any way. Now, were they looking for some way to prop up a guy who obviously at the plate has not been what he's supposed to be? Yeah, there's some of that as well. But he is a very good outfielder, and I think it's okay to reward that. And what I'll just say, because they had all these kids there at the ballpark and got to talk to them all, he is not lacking in confidence in himself. He has been like that since the day they drafted him. He's got a big smile on his face. He believes in himself. He believes he made progress this year. He acknowledges that at the plate, there's a lot of work still to be done, but he felt like he was better in the second half and made some strides there. And he feels like even when he's not hitting, he can make a difference in the field and on the bases because he's a good base runner as well. He is a physical specimen. He is a great athlete when you see him. And when he hits the ball, he hits it really well. It's just a matter of him not hitting the ball enough. And I know there's some things they want to work with him this winter on that. Maybe it's a lost cause. Usually you have a minor leaguer who strikes out over 40% of the time. That's a really tough thing to improve upon. And he's still, in low A ball this year doing that. But they're not giving up on him. They're hoping that he does figure this thing out. And the skills are there. It's just a matter of learning that one all-important tool, how to make contact with more regularity and not strike out so much.
Well, his dad was an NFL tight end, Eric Green. So, he's got the genetics, but yeah, the batting profile is disturbing. The Nats took Elijah Green with the number 5 overall pick in the 2022 MLB draft. He this season for Single-A Fredericksburg, 468 plate appearances, 206 strikeouts, an OPS of 649. Those are disturbing numbers. And if you're doing that at Single-A, what does that say about what you might do at the higher level? So we'll see. But at the very least, Elijah Green has won minor league defensive player of the year in the Nats organization. So game 2 against the Royals at Nationals Park Wednesday evening at 6:45. DJ Hers will be the Nats starting pitcher and what will be his final start of this season. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the podcast, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast.
Open stance, feet are spread, knees bent a bit, and a swing and a line drive caught by Nunez. Throw to second, double play. Nasim Nunez with a leaping catch to his right. And Bobby Witt Jr. doubled off second base. 6-4 if you're scoring on the double play. 2 outs, runners first and third.